Hi, Singapore has released a new visa that will be coming into play next year. So let's have a quick look at it and also compare it to what we have here in Hong Kong. First of all, it's called the Overseas Networks and Expertise Pass. It's going to come into effect the start of 2023. Information on it at the moment is fairly sparse, but we expect more to be released in time, probably in Q3, Q4 of this year. The intention for it is to focus on top talent in business, but alongside there are various ability for art and culture, etc., to obtain this visa as well. It has flexibility in employment compared to the other options in Singapore. There are various requirements that need to be met, and importantly, it allows multiple jobs, which is very different from the other visas there. So the eligibility of applicants. Well, the first thing of interest here is that the candidate applies, not the employing company. So this is very much tailored to an entrepreneur or an owner of a fund house or similar, putting these forms in themselves in his or her name. There's two main criteria. One is of outstanding achievements. So, for example, in sports, that might be an Olympic medal holder. In academia, that might be the leader of a research institute or similar. Or, more likely for the people who are watching this, is a salary requirement. The pass will last for 5 years, and that can be renewed. I think that's quite a key difference to some of the things we see in Hong Kong, which tend to be shorter and then roll every year after that on a basis. So the salary requirements are relatively punchy. So this is very different from the employment pass in Singapore, which is a monthly salary of 5,000 Singapore dollars. And this is actually 30,000 Singapore dollars per month. You have to show that that's what you've earned over the last year. So you have to have been bringing that money in last year. We expect the documentation for that to be things like tax returns, pay slips, contracts. And just for a benchmark, 30,000 Singapore at the moment is about 22,000 US dollars. You have to show that that is what you'll be earning in Singapore as well under the future employer. Now, the wording out to date doesn't kind of talk about what if you're starting a business or similar. So I think that's more of an intention and showing a business plan and such like. And you must demonstrate 1 year of prior working and of future working in Singapore. So for that, I would expect things like reference letters, contracts, or similar for the history, and you need a plan of the work that you're going to be doing in Singapore. At renewal, essentially, you have to prove that that's what you have been doing, or that you've started a Singapore-based company, and that company has to employ at least 5 local Singaporeans, and they have to be on at least 5,000 Singapore dollars each. So that is actually probably quite a large requirement if you are going to be doing this from an entrepreneurial space. Now, there isn't any wording here on what if those companies are, what if you have 2 companies and one employs 3 and the other employs 2. We'll have to wait for the wording to come out there. But this might be a structural point of you might, if you open multiple businesses, put at least 5 staff in one of them. The benefits of it. The biggest, the clearest is the ability to work for multiple employers. So if you're a fund director and maybe you're moving to Singapore to be an independent director, you can be an employee of various different fund managers. If you're some kind of specialist researcher or similar, again, you can have multiple employees. So you can act in a way of a consultant and have multiple positions. You don't need to apply to change jobs, which you do under the EP. Very important at the moment. Whilst in Hong Kong, spouses of the general employment policy can work and actually don't need any documentation to do that. It's just standard. Singapore recently changed that, and spouses, legally married spouses, were unable to work in Singapore. They were just allowed to be resident in Singapore. Under this visa, as long as they're legally married, they can work, and they just need a letter of consent, which is a bit of paperwork. It's quite straightforward. Now, I keep saying legally married. It's anticipated that legally married is under the concepts of what Singapore thinks is legally married. In Hong Kong, a key difference here is as long as the marriage is recognized in the jurisdiction that it occurred, then that counts in Hong Kong immigration. So 2 men married together in the UK, that will count as a spouse in Hong Kong. It will not count as a spouse in Singapore. So that's key. Another benefit is that children under 21 can actually accompany. They can't work, or at least the current wording doesn't allow them to work, but they can accompany you. Comparison to Hong Kong, well, Hong Kong's got various schemes that probably cover all of this. Capital investment, quality migrant, general employment, there's tech talent, etc. But I think what's wonderful about this Singapore scheme is it's very clear, it's very transparent. It covers multiple industries, and if you are at the top of the profession, you're the CEO of a big US bank or similar, this covers you. It's very straightforward. You can apply, you'll get it, it's done. I think anyone who can get this in Singapore could also get similar in Hong Kong, but I think the paperwork in Hong Kong, or the require to choose which route to go down, is a little bit more complex at this point in time. That's it. So it's a simpler, transparent visa. It's clearly targeted at senior professionals and entrepreneurs. And what's great is the ability for the legal spouse to work. More information is coming out, and this will all go live 1st of Jan next year. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a shout. Thank you.